What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're here with JP, Caleb, and myself, Quentin. Everybody's here. He's got a cool background, by the way.
Yeah,
love that
Anybody see
background.
I love that background.
I can run through a
Focus
brick
Live.
wall right now.
Yep, it's pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Quentin, you went to opening day. How was it?
I did.
Give
Yeah.
us your
So
synopsis.
baseball's back, baby. It's not spring or summer until we get to watch the Royals lose, and that's what happened today. But no, it was awesome. It's the first time. I don't know if you guys have ever been to opening day.
I've been once.
It was cool.
Yeah.
A lot of the pregame stuff. I have a Bobblehead Junior bobblehead now, so they were giving that away. It was cool. I have some fun stories. We'll start off with just the cool part of it. I had two different meetings, like meetups, with Joel Goldberg from the broadcast.
Nice.
So we were waiting in line to get into the stadium, and he was walking by and saying hi to people as he was entering the stadium. And so my friend and I, we just so happened to run into him there. And then we were over by the fountains, over by the Hall of Fame area. If you guys have been to Coffin, you know what I'm talking about. And Joel Goldberg is getting ready to do his show. And he's standing there, and me and my friend got a picture with him. So me and my mom and my friend got a picture with him. So when I get my hands on that picture, I'll tweet it out. That'll probably be tomorrow.
Perfect.
I had two individual interactions with Joel Goldberg. Cool guy, nice guy. He didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to take a picture with us. So shout out to you, Joel Goldberg. Great guy, nice tie. Just a nice dude. So that was awesome.
Nice tie. As long as he's got a nice tie, it's all.
It was a nice tie. It's a nice gold tie. So that was cool.
Nice.
The more traumatizing of the stories, and the ones that you guys are going to enjoy more, is I was having a couple brewskis in the parking lot, right?
No
As you
doubt.
do, right? It's opening day. You're having a couple brewskis, and I refuse to use a porta potty. So I'm holding it in like a 12-year-old, just trying to get inside the stadium so I can go to the bathroom. Okay. Get into the stadium. My friend also has to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, you go first. I'll hold your bobblehead so you don't have to take the bobblehead inside the bathroom. So then he goes, we swap out. I give him my stuff and I head into the bathroom. And you go into the bathroom and you got to turn the corner because the sinks are right there. So you got to turn the corner. And I kid you not, there was a grown man, pants at the ankles.
Well, he was drunk.
Pants at the ankles. I saw a grown man's pimply ass today, and that is not something.
Was he going to the bathroom?
Yes, he was at the urinal.
I've seen people do that, and that's so weird.
I had flashbacks to like first grade. I saw a grown man's pimple ass today, and there was no way to avoid it. I mean, he was at the first urinal as soon as you turn the corner. So,
I've never understood why people.
He's showing off.
Some people. I asked a guy one time. I said, honestly, I was at a car dealership buying a car, and I walk into the bathroom, and there's this guy with his pants to his ankles, and he's taking a pee in a urinal. And I said, "What the hell, dude?" And he goes, "What?" And I said, "You got your pants to your ankles. You're just taking a piss." He goes, "I don't want to pee on my pants." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it splashes."
Oh, okay.
And I said, "Okay, but either way, it's going to land." Do you know how many people have peed on the floor where your pants are sitting right now? And he just kind of looked at me. I said, "So would you rather have your own pee on you or somebody else's?" He pulled his pants up pretty quick.
I just couldn't believe it.
I don't understand.
It was like, it's like 1:00 in the afternoon, and this dude was just bare ass in the urinal or at the urinal. I couldn't believe it. I was just, if you're going to, first of all, just go, don't. How about that? That's the first thing. Just don't do that. You can go to, there's stalls if you want to do that. Or, just like, don't act like a first grader. I was more baffled than anything. I was stunned. But yeah, that was my traumatizing experience.
Well, at least you didn't fall down the steps or anything crazy. So
yeah,
and you didn't choke anybody at Royal Stadium. So that's always a good.
I did not get into a. Nobody spilled beer on or around me, so I didn't have to throw fists.
That's always a good thing. This has been the most uneventful football week, I think, ever. I don't know that. I mean, have you guys seen anything happen that is remotely important that even would be like,
the owners' meetings or the player meetings are those things that are going on, but that's nothing really right there.
I mean, that's as bad as a teacher's meeting, right, Caleb? Tell me the truth.
Just bad as meetings in general.
Yeah.
Just bad as meetings in
So,
general.
I mean, I can't stand it. I don't know why that it's getting so boring, but this is just that lull in the season that just drives everybody crazy, because especially with Veach. Veach is really starting to piss me off. I don't know about you guys, but this dead silence that Veach is pulling is really getting annoying. He is becoming an artist. I mean, an artist at being just like a child, like a little child that just doesn't want to talk to his parents. He doesn't want to say a damn thing. You want to? That's okay. You did that to me. I'm not going to say a word to you. That's how he's acting, like a little child. He's zipped up his lips and he's not saying a word. He's got things planned, there's no doubt. And what I did hear, thankfully, is that he does plan on signing a veteran wide receiver either during or after the draft. Maybe during the draft, which I have a feeling it probably will be. Reset, what's up? I have a feeling it is going to be during the draft, and I have a feeling I know who it's going to be, but I'm going to keep it to myself maybe for the next 30 minutes. I might spit something out. I did hear a little rumbling about a guy, and hey, if we sign him, I'm not going to complain. He'd be a good player. We talked about him on a previous show, and I think it might work out. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. But let's talk a little bit about this. Did anybody, by the way, we kind of threw something out today because we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. We said we were going to play a game. I don't even know what game to play. This is how sad this is. I mean, I didn't even know what to come up with to even play this game. I just spit it out because I wanted something to talk about. I wanted to make it interesting. So should we do something like maybe who caught the first touchdown ever with the Chiefs? Who, I guess had the first interception with the Chiefs? We could do things like that. What do you guys want to do? You tell me.
Well, we were going to go over the 2020 draft class.
Well, let's do that then first. And then hey, look, there's William. What's up, Will? Let's do the 2020 draft class.
Yeah, so last week we went over the 19 draft, and that was because of the McCole Hardman signing, right? He had just left, and so we were just trying to figure out, where we stand on the class, because there was only one player. The last pick of that draft is the only player left on the roster. So we're going to go over the 2020 draft. I think we'll do a similar format that we did last time, where I'm just going to go through each individual player. You guys are going to give me the thoughts, and we'll see. There's 6 picks, right? The Chiefs didn't have a 6th round pick that year, but they had 1 through 7 other than that. So I'll just start I'll name the player off where they got picked, and then we'll sort of open the floor up here.
What year was it that they did? I thought one year they didn't have a 5th round pick. Which year was that?
Well, it was at the 21 draft, which we'll get to next week.
Cool. I just wondered. I couldn't remember. I remember there was a year they didn't have a 5th round pick, but I was trying to remember what year it was. Okay, let's go.
Okay, everybody should know this one. Round 1, pick 32. The Chiefs select running back out of LSU, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So who wants to? JP, you want to go first? We'll go JP, Caleb, and then myself.
Yeah. That's kind of what I think about what happened with that whole situation. When you decide you're going to bring in a 1st round draft pick, running back, I understand Patrick Mahomes wanted him, and I understand he was signed off on by Mahomes, but he just didn't work out in our system. Injury prone. I mean, there was games. It was kind of crazy because there was sometimes the guy had like 6 yards of carry, but then his average most of the time was under 3 or right at 3. So it was pretty dismal. He's been injured every year he's been with the Chiefs. I think it was a terrible pick. What about you guys? You're next, Caleb.
Yeah, it wasn't the best pick. I mean, I understand, rightfully so, hindsight's 2020. People wanted Jonathan Taylor. They wanted other running backs. Clyde is a good player, but he just doesn't fit the Chiefs system. And he also pretty much was injury prone at certain times. And because of that, that caused the team to struggle. And now we're going to see there's many other people came in and were able to do what they were supposed to do. I mean, Pacheco took the job, with all due respect. That's what happened. And because of that, we see the offense became a lot more better. Third and medium, sometimes the Chiefs could run the ball. I mean, he was doing a lot more things as a 7th-round pick that we didn't expect, that we thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to do. And unfortunately, what we see is, and my belief, and you guys probably agree with me as well, CH is not going to be with the team heading into training camp.
Possibly. No, he's gone. He's gone. Yeah, he's definitely gone. Somebody's going to give us a bag of chips and maybe a Diet Coke.
Well, you can at least get a 6th-rounder, a 5th or 6th round pick out of him. I mean, if the Chiefs try to trade for D-Hop, you could throw him in the trade there. I mean, there's a lot of different things, trade packages. But what we see is fortunately just didn't work out. What do you think, Quentin?
Well, I remember that night because this was around the COVID time, right? This was the COVID draft, and I was still hanging out. I was up in Maryville at the time, hanging out with some of my friends, and I remember I wanted Patrick Queen, and he went pick, I think 28 overall, but the Ravens grabbed him. Yeah, and so when the Ravens drafted him, I was already upset because I was like, this could be the next linebacker core, right? This was. We'll get to Willie Gay here in a minute, but the Chiefs had a very weak linebacker core. And so I was hoping that Patrick Queen here's this electric guy, extremely athletic. Mm-hmm. I was excited, and he just kept sliding down the board, right? He was, projected to be in that upper 20s. He was supposed to be this great linebacker, and then the Ravens picked him. So I was already upset. And then the Chiefs drafted a running back, and I know that it doesn't really matter, how good that running back is. They're a dime a dozen. They truly are. And that's just the way the position is. And then when we talk about running backs in general, it's not the player necessarily. It's the position that ends up hurting these players because of the amount of stress that these guys are put under from college to heading into the NFL. They're expected to do so much. So it's difficult to expect them to pan out for their entire career, much less try and give them, another contract. So I think that the Clyde pick is the second worst pick that, of the Veach era. It's just unfortunate how this has all turned out. And I think, of course, it's easy for me to say I didn't like the pick to begin with. But, if Clyde's a 2nd-round pick, a late 2nd, early 3rd-round pick, I think you just feel better about it. But you shouldn't be drafting running backs in the 1st round in general. No. I think that should just be a universal rule.
I mean, that's basically what it showed us. I mean, there were so many other great running backs. Hindsight's 2020. I mean, who knows if they would work with the Chiefs. But what we saw is that people were scared of, drafting Jonathan Taylor because they're like, oh, well, what we see with him is that he has a huge workload. And he had one there in Wisconsin. Same thing a couple of years in with the Colts. And what we see now, he's kind of being injury prone. So maybe people are scared of that and not really worried out with Clyde, but we're kind of seeing the same thing. But yeah, the Chiefs will probably never draft a running back in the 1st round ever again due to this. And it probably will be a while before that happens. Similar to what we saw Chiefs not taking a 1st-round quarterback.
Absolutely. Who we got next?
Okay, in the 2nd round, number 63 overall, the Chiefs select linebacker Willie Gay out of Mississippi State. Taylor, JP, Willie Gay, thoughts?
Yeah, little dance music for Willie Gay. I think that was one of the best picks. Willie Gay's an athletic linebacker. He does a lot of great things on the field. He had a little bit of a hiccup that really was misconstrued on Twitter, but he's back, and I think he has panned out. I want to say as close as you can get to what you want out of a linebacker. He's athletic. He's fast. He's smart. He can chase down a wide receiver. He can chase down anybody he wants to chase down. And he's all over the field. I think it was one of the better picks of Veach's era.
I would agree with you as well. I mean, nice to have Patrick Queen, but Willie Gay, second round pick, one of the best linebackers the Chiefs could have probably gotten. He brought out another great level of intensity. It was frustrating to see when he played, he wasn't getting as much playing time. You know how the system goes. He kind of starts off in special teams and he finally works his way down. But we saw he just brought some athleticism to that position that the Chiefs did not have before. Because of that, he was able to go downhill, get a lot of sacks, take down a lot of guys, and be very beneficial to the Chiefs. I do agree with you, JP. He's probably one of the best picks that Veach has been able to get, but I don't think he is the best.
No,
He's
one
of the best, but not the.
Correct. Now, Quentin, what's your thoughts?
I think that the ability to look back and see this was the first position group that Veach rebuilt, the linebacker core, right? So, when he took over, there was they brought in some veteran pieces in order to sort of fill the role, and this was that first position group that he was able to completely rebuild. It started with Willie Gay in the second round and was pretty much finished the following year with the drafting of Nick Bolton. But, looking back at it, this was sort of the first, we can sort of see the brainchild of how Veach likes to do this, right? Spend higher picks at positions where you can become more athletic, younger, and cheaper, but still be able to get that work done, right? This was, to me, a good pick. Spending a second-round pick on a linebacker in today's NFL is a little controversial just because of the position value that you get there, right? I've heard some people say that the linebacker is the running back of the defense, where, it's sort of on the flip side where the linebacker's role is just becoming more limited in today's NFL. I think there's an argument, to discuss just how important a linebacker is.
Because
I think that it's a valued position still, but if you think back to like the early 2000s where just the run game was so much more involved, the linebacker was truly, in the box. That dominant middle linebacker was so important to defenses, but you don't need to have necessarily that guy anymore to have a dominant defense. And I think probably in the early 2000s is probably the last era we see where that's true, where you had to have that dominant middle linebacker. And I think this was the time where we start to see Veach spending picks at positions to become more athletic. And looking back at it, we can see that's where this was that first Veach pick to me.
Yep, I would agree with you there. It's just your textbook guy Veach is going to pick up that's been able to stretch the field. I mean, now, will he be a cornerstone of the defense? I think so if the money's right. But we see Veach's ability to find great linebackers. Willie Gay, then the next year Nick Bolton has been helping the Chiefs. I mean, if you can keep hitting at this position and others, the Chiefs are going to be in a really, really good spot.
Here, I would have a little bit of pushback on the whole linebacker is the next running back of football. Look, we have been through the era of having linebackers that were aging, I guess I should say, slowing down, not playing their part. Anthony Hitchens, for that matter, great example. When you didn't have Anthony Hitchens, if you don't have that second line of defense, you're kind of screwed. And if you're hurting somewhere on your defensive line, you need that second line of defense. The way RPOs are running rampant right now in the NFL, you need you need an athletic linebacker. The way some running backs are becoming hybrid wide receivers, I think a linebacker is very important to the team.
So like a hybrid linebacker safety?
Yeah, I think they're very
important. I would agree it's going towards that. I would agree. I agree with you there.
Linebackers are definitely getting smaller. They're turning into more safety types.
Yeah.
I would say. So Joe has a great question here, and can you put that one on the screen?
Let me do this really quick.
This is an interesting question. So I want to take a timeout on what we're doing, and then I want to talk about this because this is an awesome question. So Joe says, minus Patrick Mahomes, would it be fair to say that Veach drafts defense better than offense, especially the back seven?
Oh, That's hard to say because he was the reason why we had Mahomes and the reason why we had Tyreek Hill and the reason, there was a lot of guys that he was the cornerstone behind us drafting, even though George Dorsey was the GM. Those guys wouldn't be on our team if it wasn't for Veach. So it's hard to answer that. I mean, if you guys remember, he didn't really like corners. And he wasn't big on bringing corners in. I mean, at one time we had 4 corners, a total of 4 corners on our team. He just wasn't huge in that area. He's now become a guy that is drafting very well in the secondary. But I don't know if he was originally. I would have to almost give it like a 50-50. Because it seems like to me that he's learning as he goes. I guess it's more of a learning curve for him.
Go ahead,
Caleb.
Okay, I was going to say, I believe it's 50-50, but I feel like at this point, seeing the defense better than offense, I have to say he's found diamonds. He's found diamonds in the rough, and I can't say just the offense because he found guys like Pacheco, and I can't say defense because he found guys like Jalen Watson. Joshua Williams. I mean, literally, he is good in general, just finding talent in general. I don't think the only misses we've seen him have was you could maybe make the argument of CEH, and that could possibly be it, I think. Other than that, I think he's pretty much dead set on he knows the position, he knows who he needs to get at certain times and what they need to do, and because of that, it's been able to help the team. I just can't pick a side because at this point, he has proven to me draft after draft after draft, he can build an offense, rebuild an offense line. He can rebuild the linebacker room. He can help the wide receiver room get better. That I just see him just doing dominance all around. There's just no side to pick.
Well, that and the fact that he brings in good coaching. When you bring in a Joe Cullen and you get rid of the guys that are causing you issues like a Madison and people like that makes a huge difference, even with the players that you bring in. Now, reset. How many top 10 defenses are in the league? There's 10, right? 10 out of 32 teams. So, and it really depends on strength of schedule. You can say somebody's a top 10 defense all day long. You can say somebody's a top. How many did we play last year? Quentin, we played like 10 top 5 defenses. Every time we turned around, it was a top 5 defense.
Yeah, because we played the Broncos twice, so I don't know how you want to calculate that. And then there was the when we were facing the Rams, the 49ers and Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Those are just the ones off the top of my head.
And then we played a top 10
defense. The Bills, when we faced the Bills.
And the Bills. And then we played a top 10 defense in the Super Bowl.
49ers. Yeah. So, I mean, we had that first half of the season was ridiculous. The Chiefs were averaging almost 30 points per game.
Yeah. And honestly, we just played it supposedly a top 10 and the best defensive line in football in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Eagles.
That didn't get a sack on Mahomes. 0 sacks. So I don't put too much emphasis on the whole top 10 defense thing because strength of schedule plays a huge part in that. And there's, again, true top 10 defenses. There's only 10 of them.
And it's like, how do you figure a top 10 defense, right? Sometimes there are really 3 different ways. You've got EPA, which is more of a super analytic thing. You've got total yards given up, points allowed. So there are different ways that people will calculate as a top 10 defense. Obviously, points is the points is what matters. But there are different ways that people calculate, what is a top 10 defense or a top 5 defense. And my answer to Joe's question, I think you could seriously make an argument that Veach is much better at finding defensive players than he is offensive players because there are more guys that on the defense where we've been like, wow, what a steal. You've got guys like Snead. You could talk about Thornhill was a good pick in the second round. Really all of the corners that are on the roster now, right? So there are a ton of guys that are on the team, specifically on the defense, that you're like, man, look at these guys, look how productive they are. And then on the offense, there's not a ton of, especially skill position guys that he drafted, right? Especially if you set the offensive line aside, Brett Veach has not drafted a skill position player yet that has been, really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he is better up to this point. I think it's fair to say that he's better at drafting defensive players than he is offensive players.
Okay, but we can throw the argument in. I just want to know your opinion on this really quick. Can we throw the argument in that it's a lot harder on our offensive side of the ball to become that blue chip guy with the way Andy's offense is designed compared to a defensive player that comes in that, it's a little more – he's got a lot more packages or schemes than Spags or than Sutton did, but it's still a little bit different stepping into a defense versus stepping into Andy Reid's offense.
Yeah, to expand on that, I would say the Chiefs have invested more draft picks into the defense to begin with. So
exactly,
I think there's that. But it is a fun conversation to have. That when you just take a step back, this is what's so great about having these conversations about the draft. Is you stand back and you say, the Veach has done a better job drafting defensive players than offensive players, over the past few years, which is just weird because obviously you don't think of the Chiefs with their defense first. So thank you, Joe. That was a great point.
It really
was. It was. And when you look at the day, he's just found the guys when you need him the most, and that's why I'm just more appreciative. I just feel personally, I just can't pick a side because he's just proven me in multiple instances.
Positions in need. I mean, that's what he really goes for is positions in need, and he fills them. For the most part, he does a good job of filling those positions. So Philip says he thinks we need a slot corner so McDuffie and Snead play more outside reps. I could almost agree with that. I would like, somebody that was like a Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller was a great slot corner. Wasn't good on the outside, but he was great inside. And that's something that we missed a little bit. If you guys remember right, when we lost Kendall, that hurt us a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Kendall really helped.
He did. So I agree with Philip on that. I think we do. Let's see what else Philip's got. He says we're top 15. We're set better than 27th overall. We finished 11 total defense. That's true.
I consider that top 10, especially after the performance they had against Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
people said the Chiefs would get run over, and the Chiefs hell.
Absolutely, and look, Brissett said, "I know we got the best O-line quarter QB combo, thanks to Veach," and that's true. Absolutely the truth. There's no doubt about that. Now that look, we could take the Orlando Brown trade for what it was. We really got him for nothing, and we made, for all intents and purposes, we kind of made the Ravens look stupid.
Yeah,
and that was fun
I'm surprised we still got him, honestly, to this day.
I am too.
Gave him a third round. They gave us a second rounder back. It was very smart by Veach what he was able to do.
Yeah, and he was just playing chess. That's what he was doing while they were just sitting there, knocking the checkerboard over. He was just checkmate, 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 and he nailed them. I love what he did.
I think that draft or that trade was a good example of, Mike Tomlin, the Steelers head coach, says that we want volunteers, not prisoners. Yeah. And I think that was a perfect example of another organization sort of going through that same philosophy where Orlando Brown didn't want to play left or right tackle anymore. He wanted to play left tackle. Up to that point, he had played right tackle for the Ravens. Their starting guy on the left side had got hurt, so he played a little bit of left tackle, and he came to the conclusion, he's like, I want to play the left tackle full-time now. And that's why the Ravens ended up trading him.
Do you know why that conclusion came about, though, Quentin?
Well,
it really had absolutely nothing to do
with
with
the left side, but also the money factor plays.
The money was the main reason.
Well, he's allowed to make those decisions. He's an adult, so and we saw he did get a nice paycheck from the Bengals because of it. So,
well, he could have got actually the one that we offered him was better, but whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is. But that's
Spite
why
will get you nowhere.
That was a big part of it. Was simply that he didn't want to play right tackle anymore. So.
Anything else crazy
on Willie Gay?
Thinking about it though, really quick. Thinking about this, we just paid a guy $80 million to play right tackle. That actually is a right tackle.
Yeah,
and we didn't give Orlando Brown that this year. We offered him basically what Cincinnati offered him, and he decided to go to Cincinnati out of spite. So.
I do think that part of it was just that, they were sort of done with negotiations. So it was like, you're not going to meet up with us, so we're just going to wash our hands of this and move on.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Who's the next
Okay.
person, Quentin?
Third round pick, tackle, 96 overall, Lucas Niang, out of TCU.
Okay. Go ahead, JP.
I actually like the pick. I wish he didn't have the injury issues that he had, but I do like the pick. I think he's a good player. I think he's got a lot of athleticism. He's pretty quick. I just think the injury issues, but nobody can predict that. I mean, you're not going to be able to predict. It's like going and sticking $20 in a slot machine. You don't know if you're gonna win or lose, and you don't know if this guy's going to be injury prone or not. But if he didn't have the injury issues, I think he would have had a lot better career to this point. Is what it is. I think it was a good pick.
I would say
Overall.
this. I wouldn't say it was a good pick. It was an okay pick, just due to what we see, what he has done throughout his time. Injury's been a problem. He missed that first year, decided to take the COVID leave of absence, and then he's kind of been injured. I think if he can get into his own now after being in the system for a while, he is a good depth piece. I was kind of hoping more he would be our starter at right tackle. I mean, if you guys remember Chase Young, the second overall pick in the draft, he said he was the most difficult lineman he ever had to go against.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucas Niang literally is a brick wall, just kind of pushing people out of the way. So I think this. If Lucas Niang can have a good year and the Chiefs can get him back for like a cheap deal, I think it's going to be very, very helpful. But right now, to me personally, it's more like an pick. He had some moments, but I feel like there could be some other things that could be done to help him. But also, Veach is trying to rebuild an offensive line. So he was trying to rebuild it. So I understand why they made that pick, but I feel like he's more kind of a depth piece at this point, not a starter moving forward.
I think that Kansas City might be the plan moving forward for right tackle. If you remember this, going into training camp, he was the plan to be the Chiefs' right tackle going into training camp, but he got hurt. He's played in 9 games. Last year, he played in some games. He was the starter for them. So it's not like he's missed every single game.
Yeah.
You're right. I think that, he did miss. He took that year off of COVID, and I do think that has impacted some of his development.
Yep.
I think it's hard to not play football for a year and then try and come back and play football, right? Just ask, these players that have taken a year off, whether it's Deshaun Watson or Le'Veon Bell, right? Missing football time and getting out of football shape. It's one thing to hit the gym every day and just stay ripped. It's another thing to, go to the facility every day, work out, and, have contact. So I think that has hurt him. I still think it's a worthwhile pick because there is a chance that he still works out. This one is just weird because he missed his full rookie year. He basically redshirted his rookie year. So it's hard for me to come to a conclusion. They didn't spend that high of a pick on him. I mean, it's still a top 100 pick at 96 overall. So you hope those top 100 guys are producing players for you. But I'm going to hold out one more year for him to really see if he turns out to be a starter. If he's the right tackle when the season starts up, I think this is still a good pick.
Okay, I can see that. I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more shown, and I think we've seen glimpses of it, but we need kind of one full season to see what he can do at the right tackle position. Great point, man.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your set say? Chiefs Live is in. What's up, guys? Chiefs Live, how you doing? See, let's go in order. I just want to say Tom Ali was very good at football. You're right. He actually was very good at football. That was actually a very good statement there. Let's see. All you have to do is get Mahomes some elite bodyguards and let him make Juju's and MVS's elite. He's right because he's done it for 5 years, 6 years. I mean, he's made everybody elite that's been on the field. No matter how you look at it, he's made average wide receivers look great, and they've gotten paid because of him. So, you get him a little bit, and sometimes you can have average protection, and he still is able to maneuver his way out of it. We've seen that. He just can't have no protection like he did in the 2020 Super Bowl. Yeah. When you got a bunch of Girl Scouts out there trying to guard, men, it's just not going to work out. And that's kind of what happened. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but we had people out there that really had no idea what they were doing. and they were in a bad spot. So,
As far as I'm concerned, there was no Super Bowl in 2020.
Yep. It was just a long year of frustration.
There was just no Super Bowl. It didn't happen.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's nice to say we were there, but again,
Like,
it was
hypothetically, if there was one, we were there, but that didn't happen. So
That's true.
And it's so funny to think about the ratings. The last 5 Super Bowls Tom Brady was in, or 4 Super Bowls Tom Brady was in, the ratings were like the worst of any Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era, and especially that last one when it was like 13-3 or whatever it was.
Yep.
That was horrid. That was like watching paint dry. I mean, it's just terrible. Terrible game.
That should have been the Chiefs versus Saints, but what do I know? I'm just a fan.
Yeah,
apparently.
Absolutely. 100% agree. What's Reset saying here? Talking about defense. Our defense is very expensive coming up in the next year. We got to pay elite players. Gase need. Let's keep drafting good D players, and all you have to do. Yeah, he's right to a degree. Some of these guys are going to take team-friendly deals. Some of them won't. Just really depends on how it plays out. I think Snead comes back. I know a lot of people don't think he will. I think he comes back. You don't let a guy like that. He's too elite. You don't let him go. Just don't let it happen.
Yeah.
So you're not. It was hurtful to watch Ward go, and he wasn't as good as Snead. And they wanted to keep Ward. Point. So not at that kind of number, but they wanted to keep him.
Oh no. Yeah.
But Snead's just a different player. Okay, moving on.
Speaking of a man named L'Jarius Sneed, 4th round pick, 138 overall. What's funny enough is that his position is actually listed as a safety. Out of Louisiana Tech, Chiefs drafted L'Jarius Sneed.
Yes, very, very good pick. My opinion, best pick in that draft. Best pick in that draft. Smart, fast, can read every defense or every offensive play. Great corner blitzer. Very minimal penalties. There's nothing he can't do. He can play corner, inside, outside, safety, an all-around athlete, and I love his backstory. So, I think it was the best pick of the draft.
I agree with you too, man. I mean, when you see what Snead was able to do week in, week out, it was phenomenal. They did a redraft, and guess what pick he was in the redraft?
What was it, like 4th or something, the first rounder?
He was a top 10 pick. I think he was either the 4th or the 7th pick. I forgot what number, but he was really a top 10 pick in the redraft. That's beach right there. To look at these small schools like the Louisiana Tech, I think they are a Sun Belt conference team, maybe Conference USA, but I think it's Sun Belt. To have that guy come on our team and be phenomenal, get interception all over the place, and be consistent. Has he had a bad game? Yes, but he's been fairly consistent and has done a lot of good things. And because of that, I feel like he's been he's been able to help boost the cornerback room, putting him in the slot, letting him work on the outside. I mean, you can move him anywhere. If you need him to pinch, throw him at safety. But because of what the Chiefs were able to do with Snead at these different positions, he helped the Chiefs single-handedly have one of the best seasons of all time, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple to say the Snead pick was great. The reason I brought up, though, he's listed as a safety is because when he was in college, his first 2 years of playing there, he was actually a safety.
Yes.
He played safety for his first 2 years at playing at Louisiana Tech. And then his final year, the team needed a corner. And so he made the transition to corner. And I think that, there's a lot of guys that wouldn't have done that, right? You know that your senior year, you're heading into your final year there. You know you're going to be an NFL draft pick. Why risk, falling in the draft because you're changing position? But I think it shows that, he truly was, it was about playing football. It was about the team. And also, I think that the reason he's so effective at a lot of the things that he does was because he had to change his craft in order to play safety for a year.
Yep.
So that, I think, really helped his development. And the reason why he's so effective down in the box, whether it's him lining up on a slot wide receiver or him just doing I'm going to stand right next to the line and then drop back into sort of a deep zone coverage, right? I think the reason that he's so good at all of those things is because his team sort of forced him into a position where he had to learn the skill set of pretty much every of the back four guys.
Mhm.
That's what he had to do. And I think that part is sort of goes underrated. Guys that are able to play multiple positions on a football field, especially ones that are somewhat similar in safety and corner. So yeah, the Snead pick is obviously the best pick in this draft, and it's really not even close. And I think that just shows, you're finding arguably your second or third best defensive player in the fourth round. I mean, that's an impressive pick. And that's one of those picks that, why we say in Veach we trust is because of the guys like L'Jarius Sneed you're able to pick up in the fourth round.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Absolutely. What's he saying? Was he second round out of LA Tech?
No, he was a fourth round pick.
He was a fourth round pick. Yeah, he was a fourth round pick.
But in the redraft, he was considered to be a first round pick, top 10.
Yeah, and I like what Chiefs like. He said Gay won't be too expensive. I think Snead is a foundational piece. I agree. I think Gay will. I think people are underestimating what the Chiefs have done for him on a personal standpoint. And I don't think he's going to take it for granted as other players have. I'm not going to get into what they've done for him, but I'm just saying they're just not going to take it he's not going to take it for granted. The whole Turto story, that was totally different than what it actually was. So we can get into that at another date, but the Chiefs did a lot for him to get him where he's at, and especially his mindset. So I think we're okay with him. I think he'll work with us. I really do. He's definitely not going to play the Anthony Hitchens role.
We don't want a repeat of that.
We don't want a repeat of that headache. So, I think it was amazing to me that Anthony Hitchens at that age, and I mean, the guy was moving like Dave Craig. I don't know what the hell he was thinking out there wanting that kind of money. And did he ever play again after he left us? He did go somewhere else, but then he was
he signed
like
a contract.
Who
did he sign with? No, I know he signed somewhere.
Maybe.
Did he go back to the Cowboys?
I think he did. I'll look it up for you right now, actually.
I can't remember. I don't think he's playing anymore, but yeah, I think it was very short lived. So,
where is he at?
Looks
like he's not in the NFL.
No, I didn't think he would be.
That's what it's looking like.
Yeah, I thought he was done. I don't even think he's listed as a free agent anymore. I think he finally retired.
No, I don't think he retired.
Does it show him as a free agent somewhere on the free agent list?
It's just saying the last he was released. All it has is that he was released in 2022. So he's probably taking a year off or something. He took a year off.
He's what is he?
He's 30.
He's got to be 30. So yeah,
30, 31.
Yeah, and he really slowed down. I mean, tremendously. So I don't know. That last year with us was a horrid year. It really was a bad year. The injury, and then of course Nick Bolton just stepped up and stepped out. And when you put the two side by side, of course, it makes him look like a Leclerc, and then you got a Ferrari next to him. So it's a lot, makes it look worse than it is. But he did slow down a whole lot.
And that's probably due to age. I mean, he's played a lot.
Yeah.
He played a lot.
He beat up a lot. He played a lot. I mean, he was 100% down guy for many years. So, and I was happy when we originally drafted him because he did really well for us for the first few years. Like, it's not like we did, or not drafted him, but picked him up because he did really well for us. We can't say he didn't. Reset says, I think we'll have a top 5 secondary in the league. I do too. With the guys that we drafted
if the Chiefs can find pass rush, you can't have a top secondary without pass rush. So
our
that's going to come down
pretty
to
good last year.
I think the talent is there. I think that the Chiefs can have it, but it's going to come down to pass rush too, because if you give a quarterback 5-6 seconds on most dropbacks, then I don't care. You could have a bunch of Deion Sanders back there guarding everybody. You're not gonna have a top secondary just because the NFL rules are built for offense. So you need to be
our pass rush did pretty good last year.
I mean, this coming season, you have to replace Frank Clark. You have to replace these rotational pieces that Kansas City has lost.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to replace
don't rule out Frank Clark yet. damn it. Don't be ruling out Frank Clark just yet. You just don't know. Things might change. He may come back. I remember how much hate he got year after year after year, and then the second that he doesn't come back, all Twitter just has a heart attack and says, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? We don't have Frank Clark anymore."
Mhm.
That just cracks me up, dude. These guys are so wishy-washy. Who's next?
Speaking of the defensive line, we call this a segue in the business. Mike Dana was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs out of, was he Central Michigan, I want to say?
No, I think it was regular Michigan.
Yeah.
I think it was just Michigan.
Yeah.
Central Michigan.
Was it Central Michigan?
Why does it has both on his reference page?
I'm pretty sure he's from
Anyway,
Michigan.
He could have transferred.
So
So who knows?
he could. I think he started at Central Michigan, and then it looks like he transferred to Michigan his last year because it has both listed on his page.
Okay.
JP.
Oh, it's my turn.
Mike Dana.
I love Mike Dana. I think he's extremely athletic. I think he's got a tremendous amount of potential, and I feel like he's not utilized enough. And when he's on the field, he makes tremendous plays every time. I don't know what I mean, I get the whole concept that you pay the guy, you play the guys you pay. I get all of that. And he's not one of those guys that you play all the time because he, quite frankly, I mean, he didn't make that much money. But when he's on the field, he's extremely athletic. He reads offenses very well. He's able to get between the tackles. I like him. I think it was a good pick.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think the last couple seasons, not this one particularly, the seasons prior, what we saw, he had a great start to the season. He had like 3 sacks in 4 games, and he kind of slowly teared off. I say this season he was fairly consistent throughout. So I expect him to do even more this upcoming season, and I think the Chiefs could bring him back possibly as a key guy on the edge, and maybe even still has a huge rotational piece moving forward. What he was able to do in his rookie season, his sophomore season, especially his last season, he just was able to improve on his game each and every season. And because of that, I believe he got us out a couple games, specifically with some difficult teams, especially against the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, definitely against the Chargers. Yeah. Quentin, what's your take on Mike Dana?
I mean, he played, 50-plus games in Kansas City, including the playoffs. I mean, you're talking about a guy that is a solid rotational piece. You need the Mike Danas of the world. You need them. Okay.
Absolutely.
Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, like these guys are not going to play every single down. You need guys to be able to come in and to get the job done in the third quarter. I almost said inning. In the third quarter, when guys are a little tired, they're a little gassed, and you need to have some of these rotational pieces come in. He has 10.5 sacks in his career, a couple of forced fumbles, a handful of tackles for losses. He's a solid rotational piece that on some teams may be a starter, but here in Kansas City, he's a solid rotational piece. And you're talking about picking him up here in the 5th round. I mean, that being able to do that, the context of where some of these guys get picked matters, and I think Mike Dana is a great example of that because he is a solid rotational piece to have. If he was picked in the 2nd round, I think he'd be disappointed. But I think he's excelled, and he's exactly what you want. Drafting him in the 5th round at 177 overall.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is that piggybacking off of what you just said, yeah, he may be a starter on another football team, but these guys are starting to realize that rotating that position is keeping them fresh and extending their careers. So, yeah, you can go get a fat contract somewhere with an easy out on a football team. But if you're played and then you're injured and you're out, you lose that money. For the most part, that money's gone. But if you're a rotational piece and you can play an extra 4 or 5 years, you still earn the money that you lost. And these guys are they're becoming smarter and they're learning that. And I think that's going to play a big part moving forward in the NFL. What do you think, Caleb?
No, I agree with you. I mean, what we're going to see is that the Chiefs are going to bring more pieces. They're not going to get that cornerstone Frank Clark ever again. But I think they're going to draft, like, your 2 big guys are going to be doing stuff. but they're going to bring in a plethora of guys you can mix and match and throw in at different positions. Veach loves guys who can play on all spots on the defense line. Hence, Derek Nottie, great example.
Yeah.
I believe that's one of the reasons why the Chiefs brought him back. And I think this defense is only going to get better.
I agree. Who do we have left?
Okay, for the final pick of the 2020 NFL Draft, at number 237 overall, the Chiefs selected Bo Peep Keys, cornerback out of Tulane.
Okay. I didn't think he was such a bad player. I think he just – I don't know if that he had the tutelage, if you will, to become a better player. He's still in the NFL, which says a lot. He's still playing, and he was a starter, if I'm not mistaken. After we released him, he became a starter.
I think with the Colts. I'm trying to look up right now.
I believe it was the Colts. So I'm not going to say it was a good pick, but I'm not going to say it was a horrible pick either, because, you know, it was more of a depth insurance pick than it was anything else. And I like the fact that Veach does that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree
That's
with you too. What we see with Bo Peep Keys, when the Chiefs cut him, they had a faith like, okay, if we bring him back, great. If not, no big deal. I mean, he did some stuff, mainly a special teamer. He was 7th round pick, and like pick 237, something like that. So I mean, he did his thing. I would love to see what he could have done under the full system, the defense we have now. But unfortunately, we see he's moved on, and I looked up, he's with the Ravens currently. So he's had an opportunity to play, especially the Ravens have a lot of cornerback injuries. But what we're seeing is this. He did his thing. The Chiefs, however, have, I feel like, upgraded that position every single season by finding specific guys. So, honestly, I'm not hurt by the move at all.
Yeah. Quentin?
Guys, the guy's damn near Mr. Irrelevant, right? I mean, you're talking about a late 200 plus pick in the NFL draft, 7th round pick. To try and find a guy at 237, it just shows how impressive, the selection at the running back position the Chiefs made last year really shows how difficult it can be, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to be upset if a guy you pick in round 7 doesn't work, no matter what the position is. Mm-hmm. You're right. He's still in the NFL. He's bounced around on a couple of different teams. He went from here to Chicago to Indianapolis. I believe now he's on the Ravens. So it's a fine pick. I'm not going to call any 7th round pick a bust. I don't think that's fair to the fact that where they got drafted, right? Expectations to me on what you're supposed to be and where you get drafted is what makes you a bust. I don't think you can really say any 7th round pick is a bust. I don't know if you can give me any example of a 7th round pick that has ever turned out to be a bust, just because I don't believe somebody that's picked, where there were 236 other guys picked in front of you. I just can't believe that you're a bust. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with the pick. This cornerback is a position room where you just have to draft guys at, because you don't know how. It's such a difficult spot, and you need so many of them. They're like wide receivers, where you need 5-6 deep at that position. So I don't hate it. The fact that he's still in the league, even though he's bounced around from team to team, shows that he has talent, right? So this wasn't like you just drafted a guy and it doesn't make any sense. He wasn't talented when he came out. He's been on 4 franchises for a reason. There's talent there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He could be out of the league just like a lot of – and look, when we talk about these 7th round picks, you got Isaiah Pacheco, you got Brock Purdy. And I know you're not a big Brock Purdy fan, but still went 7-0. I know he was with a team that, Joe Flacco could look good on, but it's still if you watched any of his play, I was really impressed with his play, because he was very accurate. He made great decisions. He threw the ball a lot more than most of the quarterbacks prior to him in that system. And yet he was Mr. Irrelevant. And if it wasn't for that injury, we don't know how that game would have turned out.
Yeah.
We really don't. I mean, you're talking about a team that went, ended up with their 4th quarterback with a guy that had been in the league for 12 or 15 years, 12 years, and probably took 30 snaps in his career. That's who ended that game for them. And actually, I take that back. That's who came in to end the game, and then Brock Purdy ended the game with a bad elbow, handing the ball off. So I give him all the credit in the world to be able to come in and play the way he did in the situation that he was put in.
Mm-hmm.
This kid never thought he was going to see the field. Did you think, I mean, honestly, if you were the 7th round pick in the NFL draft that year, do you honestly think you would have seen the field in the next 3? I mean, there's first round picks that haven't seen a field in 3 years, aka Jordan Love. So how, for him to do what he did, I have no complaints. I think, you know what? You might see him starting with San Francisco next year. You might see that happen. It's going to be a rough situation for Trey Lance, but again, I'm sorry, but he kind of outperformed him.
Yeah,
when Trey Lance was healthy, he wasn't playing as well as Brock Purdy did.
He played 2 games, and one of them was in a monsoon. I don't know.
Okay, well, what is it? He played more than 2 games. He played the games. He played his first year when he was drafted, and he didn't.
He split behind Jimmy Garoppolo.
He split time. He came in every once in a while. Like his first pass was a touchdown because they put him like really right at the red zone. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you look at what the 49ers are going to do, they're specifically. They brought even Sam Darnold. They basically said this is an open competition. So they're going to probably keep on to those guys. I don't see them getting rid of any of them because at any point you may need Sam Darnold, to be honest with you. You may need Trey Lance. It's just how it is.
I just don't see Sam Darnold starting again. I don't know.
I think he has talent. He was just on 2 terrible franchises, the 49ers, the Jets, and the Panthers.
Yeah.
I mean, when he had some decent help, he did pretty good. I just feel like he would do good in that system if given the opportunity.
A lot of people could. It's weird how Shanahan has just built it's almost like a quarterback free zone. I mean, it's just like anybody. I mean, all 3 of us could go out there and probably look halfway decent in his offensive system, even my old ass. So I don't know. It's just strange to me how he's been able to do that. That he can make any quarterback look good. It's great that he's able to do that. And their defense truly is a top 5 defense. If you really look at it from strength of schedule, the things they've been able to do, they are truly a top 5 defense. You know, barring some injuries. They're a great football team. I think you're going to see, and this is just my bold prediction, you're going to see like a turning of the tides when it comes to San Francisco and the Eagles this year. I think San Francisco is going to progress, and I think you're going to see the Eagles regress because they lost 2 of their coaches that allowed them to be good, that made them good. Because if anybody in this life thinks that all of that was because of Sirianni, you're sadly mistaken because it definitely was not. They had a great offensive coordinator. They had a great defensive coordinator, and they were the ones calling the shots. Sirianni was out there making stupid faces, telling players to move backwards when he was wrong, being a cocky little prick, and it got him really nowhere, but a loss in the Super Bowl. So now he lost both of it. And you know what? Sometimes that's karma. That's that girl named Karma that just comes and bites you on your butt when you're an arrogant little guy and you do arrogant little things. And then all of a sudden the guys, people see it. The NFL sees all this. They go, okay, wait a minute. Is Sirianni doing this, or is this the 2 guys that are putting these teams together and coaching these guys up and calling the plays? And the NFL sees this. They go, well, wait a minute. These guys, they did their job. They knew what they were doing. Let's give them shots because they're good at what they did. They were good at what they did prior to being offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator or with another team. So I got a feeling you're going to see a turn of the tide right there because Shanahan's not changed. You know, Shanahan's a rookie.
Shanahan's they're at least gonna be NFC Championship game, in my opinion, every single season. If they can keep talent like they've been able to have around him. So I don't see them going anywhere. They're always gonna be there. Now, can they go over the hump? That's the big question.
We'll see
And that's
what
the last 2
happens.
seasons they've really been right there and then fall back down.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Reset thinks that Brock Purdy's a lot better than Lance. I don't know if he's a whole lot better. I would just say he's better. He made better decisions. I don't think he would be the guy to take off running with the ball as much. You know, he reminds me a little bit of. He reminds me a little bit of Alex Smith. That takes more chances.
okay.
Alex Smith would back off a little bit on some of the chances because he was more of a game manager, a great game manager. But he would hold back on some of the things that he could have done until that last season, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But Purdy just went for it all. He said, shit, I got a chance to play and I'm going to start. You're going to see me do whatever I can do to make this team win. And I'm going to look good doing it. And I think he took the right chances. So we'll just have to see how he plays out next year. I'd like to see him start. I would like to see him get another opportunity to start. If he heals up well, I hope he gets another opportunity to start because I think he deserves it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
What grade
see
would we? Oh, good.
no, I just want to see what he said. He said his own QB had to tell him to chill out. Who's he talking about? Who are you talking about, Corey? I don't know who you're
I
talking
believe
about.
it's Hurts.
Oh. Well,
Oh, Jalen. Oh, yeah, he's talking about the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts. I'm pretty sure he told.
oh, yeah, he did. He actually told him to chill out when he walked on the sidelines. You're right.
Mhm.
Because he was being an arrogant jerk.
Mhm.
And he deserved the loss, in my opinion. But whatever. So what you saying now? What was you
I was
gonna
going
ask?
to say, yeah, before we ended, what is our letter grade for this draft on this 2020?
Caleb, we didn't give our takes on Keys.
Huh?
Yeah, you guys did.
Oh, we
Yeah, we
did?
did.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn weed.
Yeah, you said 7th round guy. I mean, he's not
Oh,
really a
yeah,
bust.
yeah.
I think it's the hangover from the opening day, but whatever.
If
Too much fun.
I got a hangover
Maybe-
this quick, then I need to get. There's something
Maybe
wrong
you
with
just
my
still got visions of booty. You know,
liver.
when you
God,
went into the
dude, that
bathroom. I don't know what
old
else to
man's
say.
ass.
No one
Oh.
wants to see that. Nope. But what is your guys' grade for the 2020 draft? We'll go and do the same order. JP, myself, and Quentin. What would you have to
I'm
give
going to
this
give it a B plus
grade? A B plus?
because
Okay.
you had two players that probably weren't the best. I mean, one of them takes them out of an A completely. So I would give it a B plus. What about
Okay.
you guys?
I give it a B. I give it a B because you had a lot of guys that came in and were able to help and be productive, even though they were injury prone at certain points, and certain players did not reach expectations we thought. But I will say they were feasible in those specific moments and did help to team success and didn't really cause any detrimental things to happen. So I give it just a straight B. Quentin?
I think I'm sitting right around that B mark as well. You're right. I can't give it an A because you picked a running back at number 32. I think that immediately caps your grade out. To me, Willie Gay, L'Jarius Sneed, and Mike Dana are all solid players for you. Mike Dana being a rotational piece, Sneed and Gay being your top. When Gay was here before Bolton, he's the top linebacker. I know technically he wasn't wearing the green dot, but he was the more athletic linebacker. He was the one making plays. While Sneed is your best corner, hands down. There's not really that much of a discussion about it because of his ability to cover the slot, to blitz, to do so many different things. That makes him the best corner on the team. Look, the fact that every single one of these players that you drafted in 2020, almost 3 drafts ago, all of them are still in the league. Maybe not on your roster, but they're still in the league is impressive. And that to me makes it an above average draft class. So that's why I'm settling with the B.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, I made a little bit of a mistake. We were going to play a game tonight, but we're going to do that next week. We're going to come up with a little better format on that, and we're going to play a little game next week, and we're going to have maybe some graphics put in for that. Got a guy working on them now. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody joining, and we will talk to you guys again on Tuesday. We appreciate it. If you have any questions, make sure to DM us. If anybody wants to write, like Caleb says, you got any contributions, please DM us. Hit us up, ChiefsFocusWriters at gmail.com. And we'll talk to you guys again on. Oh, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll talk to you guys again on.
Follow me on
Tuesday.
Twitter. I'm covering the Royals.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
he's covering
do
the
that.
Royals. Make sure you check out our website because all those articles are popping up on the website. So make sure you do that. Peace out, everybody.